She is the most powerful loan shark in this market, even though she is 80 years old, but every day she goes to collect money from her debtors. Of course, there are still stubborn people, disgusting, refuse to pay. In these cases, she had her own way of handling it. God, hey, is this old lady acting like she's starving? I won't pay 600,000 won. Go away, I'm gonna kill someone. Look, I'm wearing rubber gloves, the original debtor. He thought the old lady was just bluffing, but when he turned around, he discovered the corners of the house were covered with plastic, tarps, and there was a liquid on the floor. Blood. Before she could recover, the old woman pulled out a bag of sharp tools, muttering under her breath, choosing which one to use. The debtor was scared to death and quickly took out all the change in his pocket. People begged. Marinate it, wait. Why did you do that? I'll pay, I already have the money. Don't misunderstand, she just said she was salting kimchi. The old lady, her name is Haesuk. At the age of 30, she started her loan sharking business. The vendors in this market all owe her money. Every time they see her, they have a hard time. Bear it, cursing the turtle is immoral. Some people even deliberately sing dirty water on her. But Mrs. Haesuk always dodged. Despite her bad reputation, she never took an extra penny, never took advantage of anyone. She also often regularly helping needy households. The motivation for Mrs. Haesuk to persevere for the past 50 years, her only weakness has been her husband, bedridden. The relationship between the two was very good. He always made jokes to make his wife laugh, a hard day at work. The adopted daughter heard the laughter and immediately silently went out. He would rather faint than eat dog food. Actually, he always felt guilty towards his wife. Thanks to her, he was able to live until now. He wished he could died earlier, so that his wife would not have to suffer so much. Hearing these words, Mrs. Haesuk was very sad. Sad, immediately confided in the cat in the house. Her husband, when young, was very naughty, often put chili sauce on his hand and pretended to have a cut finger. But then one day, the accident really happened. She cried a lot at that time. Now she always imagines it. Her husband was still joking, so her heart would hurt less. That day, mother and son, while collecting debt, she discovered that the debtor had passed away. However, Mrs. Haesuk still insisted, determined to get the money back. The daughter did not understand why people borrowed money not to having fun, but to take care of her daughter getting married. Isn't she pitiful? What? Her husband had an accident and was bedridden, so she had to use her insurance money. He let people lend him money. He was scolded as a cruel person, a person who deserved to die every day, being humiliated in the market. Isn't she pitiful? She is the most pitiful person. As soon as she heard Mrs. Haesuk talking about money, the borrower's daughter immediately appeared, agitated, should give her father some money for travel expenses anyway. But when she found out that she only owed 370,000 won, she immediately took out her wallet and took out the condolence money. In the mailbox, angrily stuffed it into Mrs. Haesuk's hand. She intended to send back some money as a condolence visit, but she snatched it back. I don't need your money, go away. Aren't you going to die? When you die and meet my father, won't you feel ashamed? I will curse the turtle to hell. On the way back, the curses kept coming, ringing in Haesuk's ears. She kept wondering if this world really existed, in hell and heaven or not. If so, where? Will people like her go? Where? Actually, she is not afraid of going to hell. She is just afraid of implicating her husband, his honest life, afraid the two would never see each other again. The daughter beside her insisted that she would definitely go to heaven. It turned out that last year, Mrs. Haesuk felt sorry for a little girl who was beaten by her father, so she didn't take the money, but forced the man addicted to chess to sign an agreement, using his daughter as collateral debt. That day, the little girl smiled so brightly so she was sure her mother would be promoted. Heaven. That night, Mrs. Haesuk had a nightmare. She dreamed that she fell to hell. Prison. Still scared inside. She went to her husband's room. She looked like she had just seen evil. Dream like that. No. Do you need me to hold your hand? The next morning, she bought a bouquet flowers come home. The old man praised his wife. Just looking at her back, she was as beautiful as a flower. She wanted husband to ask to see if there was anything strange about his back. Unexpectedly, he said about her back. She looked sad. Because of him, she lost her beautiful youth. Sad and beautiful at the same time. Talk nonsense and compliment an old lady on her beauty will say you are confused. Let them talk. What does it have to do with me complimenting my wife's beauty? Them. She was beautiful when she was 20, and she is even more beautiful now. That night, when Mrs. Haesuk left, when she came home from work, she suddenly blamed her husband for joking with her. At first, her daughter did not understand. What happened? When she entered the room, she realized that Mrs. Haesuk's husband had passed away peacefully. Vase. Is he gone? Yes. Life is like withered flowers, no matter how. No matter how much fertilizer is applied, the water cannot be revived. The death of the husband was a blow. It was a huge shock to Mrs. Haesuk, and her spirit gradually collapsed. But there was one grandmother still worried. Half a month later, while collecting rent, the daughter suddenly fell in love with the son of the tenant. What are you doing? Oh my God, today, it was so hot. The next day, Mrs. Haesuk arranged a meeting for the two, but then the daughter broke things in the guy's house, cursed, and demanded him pay. Mrs. Haesuk did not understand what her daughter was doing. She quickly pulled her out. In fact, in her heart, her daughter clearly understood that her mother deliberately did not collect the debt. I want to entrust her to a good man before I die. Who is old will also die. Everyone knows that. I am very sad. Even if you go, don't go alone. Such a miserable way. She was tired of taking care of others. She wanted tourist. You're grown up now. You don't need me to take care of you anymore. Now it's your turn to take care of you. You don't need it. Time is like sand in your hand. The tighter you want to hold it, the more it slips away. Time flies. Not long after, Mrs. Hae-suk passed away. Her funeral was attended by only her. Daughter came to attend. Suddenly, an invisible guest appeared, in the shrine. I called out Hae-suk's name 3 times. Then her spirit appeared. It turned out that I am the messenger of hell, leading souls to judgment. Before, when he died, the old man asked him to tell his wife that he had walked by, himself, his own feet. Soon the train to judgment stopped, in front of the shrine. Before boarding the train, Mrs. Hae-suk looked at her daughter with longing. Forever. It was not until the train doors closed that she realized there were many souls in the car. There were 2. Father and son were confused. There was a young man taking a deep breath and a group of people was kneeling down praying to go to heaven. This scene made Mrs. Hae-suk also became tense. After the ship passed the river, the surroundings suddenly became dark. Black, vengeful spirits kept pounding on the windows. At this time, the court ruled, the trial begins. The young man is sucked into hell. Next is the religious man, hypocritical, unfilial student. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 souls were thrown away, down to hell. The train doors closed, the remaining souls were about to board heaven. Luckily, Mrs. Hae-suk was among them. However, before, when she was granted asylum, she had to answer 2 questions. The first question was what she wanted to do. Who do you live with? If that person doesn't agree, you can't live with them. Where is Mr. June now? Mr. June? Please wait a moment. Mr. June was born in 1940, is in heaven now. Great. So Mr. June, he chose you too. Hi, people can live together. The second question is how much she wants to live with the form at the age of what age? The angel emphasizes that once chosen, it cannot be changed. Mrs. Hae-suk recalls what her husband said before he died, that she was at her most beautiful at 80. I choose 80 years old to be 80 years old. 80 years old? Because very few people choose to live to be 80 years old. So heaven provided a button. Considering that old age makes it difficult to communicate, normally, just press this button and she can speak her mind, without opening her mouth. Hae-suk's heart was pounding. The first thing she wanted to do when she saw her husband again was to hold his hand and look at the face she missed, after a long time kissing him so passionately. This is crazy, oh my God. And so Mrs. Hae-suk, with her 80-year-old appearance, rang her husband's doorbell. However, the person who opened the door, it was a young man again. Husband what? Hae-suk is dead. Mrs. Hae-suk believed her husband's words when he was alive, decided to keep her 80-year-old appearance, but she did not expect that her husband would choose a 30-year-old figure. It must be said that the young husband was indeed very proud, but in her heart there arose think differently. Are we like a loving couple? Like 2 mothers' son. I was as happy to see him as if a mother were meeting her son. Damn the button. This is exactly the kind I've heard of. Made for people over 80. Mrs. Hae-suk, who was full of anticipation for the reunion, now wants to go home. Even though her husband did, she was happy, planning for the future or recalling good memories from her life, she still couldn't cheer up. She was sure that no man would like a wrinkled old woman. We are both old, not newlyweds. Old man. Is he going to come back to life to live with me? He should have remembered what he said. Life in paradise doesn't seem as beautiful as imagined. Everyone chooses give yourself the most beautiful youthful appearance. Look around, there is not an old person, come on. Mrs. Hae-suk sighed and looked at her wrinkled hands, feeling a pang of sadness in her heart. Indescribably bitter. Moreover, the physical strength of an 80-year-old is not as good as that of a young person. After walking a few steps, she was out of breath. Her eyes became dry and blurry. Felt like this place was no paradise at all. That moment, Mrs. Hae-suk suddenly felt a woman in black was looking at him. But in the blink of an eye, the woman, disappeared. Early the next morning, her husband took her to a meet and greet. Welcome to the new residents of the Paradise community. On the way, everyone looked at her with a strange look that made her feel very embarrassed. At the gate where the meeting was held, her husband had to go to work, so Mrs. Hae-suk had to attend herself. To reduce nervous and shy, she took the initiative to greet the girl sitting in front. Oh, so cute. What's your name? Papyrah. This is my mother-in-law. Her name is Pira. It turns out that the mother-in-law chose the form of a little girl because of a promise she made at the time. Still lives with her daughter-in-law. Her daughter-in-law has been sick for many years. Thanks to her mother-in-law's devoted care, she is still alive today. She knows she owes her mother-in-law a lot. Many this life could not pay at all. So, before she died, she asked her mother-in-law for one thing, if there was any, in the next life. Please be my daughter so I can take care of you and repay your kindness. Please agree, Mom. Okay, next life, I will be your daughter. Daughter-in-law, Mom is sleepy. Okay, come here, Mom. The meeting is mainly to announce 2 things. First is not to violate the rules of heaven, including violence and foul language. If otherwise, you will be sent to hell. The second is to help new people join clubs, set according to preference. Leaving the meeting, Mrs. Hae-suk saw the woman, wearing black. Before I could think about who it was, the woman disappeared. Because of the matter. That night, Mrs. Hae-suk was restless and couldn't sleep. She habitually hugged her pillow and went to sleep. Husband's room, lying down on the floor. At that moment, her husband carried her, one hand out. Mrs. Haisuk was startled and quickly grabbed that hand. But she didn't know that her husband was still awake. The next day, before the meeting began, Mrs. Haisuk chased her husband away. She really didn't want to attend the gathering of young people. While she was wondering what to do, a group of elderly people walked behind her, past. She followed without thinking. This group of people was very strange. The old man with poor eyesight kept sniffing something. The chubby boy next to him kept sniffing. Tennis ball into Mrs. Haisuk's hand, she curiously asked a seemingly normal old lady what they were doing. The old lady replied that they were all waiting for their master. Right at this time, the old man with poor eyesight started sniffing people everywhere. A moment later, the angel announced that everyone's master had arrived. The members of the strange group were involved, continued looking around until he saw familiar faces all looking excited, run in the opposite direction and then transform back to the form before death. That's right, they were all dogs that died for various reasons. The life expectancy of a dog is only 10 to 12 years. After death, stay in heaven for decades, waiting for the owner, person, just to meet again. The old man with poor eyesight is actually a guide dog, because so old that it can only distinguish its owner by scent. Mrs. Haisuk testified, only then did everyone realize they had come to the wrong place. She had just found a place to sit and rest. Then the woman in black appeared again. Sonia, why don't you recognize me? It turns out that the woman in black is Mrs. Haisuk's cat. At the same time, because missing Mrs. Haisuk so much, her adopted daughter went to a psychic. But the psychic? This is a scammer lying that Mrs. Haisuk still can't be released because of anxiety for her daughter. Hearing that, her adopted daughter could not hold back her tears and stood up, ran out of the temple. As a result, she had a traffic accident. The last step to say goodbye, welcoming newcomers to heaven, is to take them into the room of memory. Some people. There was laughter in the room, but there were also people crying. Haisuk wore the front. The memory mirror just for a moment time goes back to when she was in elementary school. Her classmate told her that last night he saw a female ghost crying by the lake, water container. As a result, that night she alone carried the black basket to the lake shore. I did. What's going on here? I miss my mom. What? Why did you come here? To find mom? Grandma said mom crazy fell into the lake waiting for this water to drown. Tell me not to look for mom anymore. Why? Again? I heard from my classmate that there is a female ghost here who drowned in the water. I think that must be mom. Scene change, Grandma borrows a pair of old leather shoes, urges Haisuk to go see Eyes of a divorced man with children. She arranged for her granddaughter to meet with rich man. You will not have to suffer anymore. You have to show good on the way to the blind date. Haisuk met her future husband, who fell in love with her at first sight. At first sight. Fate always comes quietly. Knowing she went on a blind date, her husband decided to bet. If he could get to the bus stop before it did, the bus arrived, she had to go eat with him. Although her husband could not run faster than the bus. But he stopped Haisuk from going on a blind date with that man. Also from that moment there, Haisuk loves this somewhat sloppy man, holding his hand, closing her eyes. He will take you to another world. Just consider being fooled by me once. However, short-lived happiness. Not long after their marriage, her husband had an accident. Traffic paralysis of the lower body. Haisuk quickly reviewed her life. Management Li Tianduang told her that happy memories of life are often hidden. Sadness and pain. If she is not healed, she will be tormented by those memories forever. The reception ends. Her husband comes to take Haisuk home. Close your eyes again. I will take you to another world. Just consider it as being fooled by me once. But two people were on their way home when suddenly a tree appeared in front of them, a brilliant rainbow. Countless dead dogs ran into heaven, and their owners of them were waiting at the other end of the bridge. No one knew what they had been through. What? Perhaps meeting again here is also a special fate. Witness, seeing the scene before her eyes. Haisuk and her husband decided to live happily ever after, paradise. However, as soon as he reached the door, a beautiful young woman rushed into the house. Her husband's hand. Haisuk immediately became jealous, grabbed the two's hair and demanded words, explained, completely oblivious to the purple petals falling from above. No. After all three calmed down, the three confessed the woman's background, female. Previously, he was a steward of the Paradise ship. On his first day at work, this guy noticed the woman kept staring at him, which made him uncomfortable. No worries. When the train reached hell, the woman was almost pulled away by the strong gravitational force down to hell. Seeing this, her husband immediately stood up and used his body to shield her. Hearing her husband's excuse, Haisuk couldn't help but feel jealous. However, the woman, she had absolutely no memory of who she was. When she got off the train to heaven, her mind was blank. Empty, no memory of past life, only remembers husband's name Haisuk, that's why she came here. Out of kindness, Haisuk allowed her husband to take care of her. Woman, but hoped he would take her away the next day. The night passed quietly. The next day, while cleaning the yard, Haisuk accidentally discovered 4 wings. The flower recorded the scene of her scolding and pulling someone's hair. She immediately asked her husband what this was. What? Her husband confessed that if she did bad things in heaven, these petals would fall down. If one collects all 6 petals, one will be sent back to hell. Now that Haisuk has 4 wings, it seems she has to be more careful, to bring the woman back soon. The woman left, her husband asked his colleagues and was surprised to learn that the people who came heaven cannot lose its memory. If so, there is only one possibility, that is that the soul that should have gone to hell sneaked out into heaven. These people are called fugitives. Once discovered, they will be immediately sent back to hell, to suffer even more painful punishments than before. Fear implicated, her husband took the woman home. Hae-suk really couldn't bear it anymore. She didn't understand why her husband had to worry about someone else. An unknown woman ran over and only remembered her husband. Since when did he leave? How could he be so compassionate? So the next day, Hae-suk decided to leave this house. When they were alive, they lived together for nearly 60 years. Every day, she also washed and cooked carefully because she loved her husband so much that she felt natural in her heart. Waiting for her husband to love and appreciate her too. But in heaven, it seemed her husband no longer needed her. Choosing a youthful appearance was not the, is it that you want to live again like someone else? Make me live the way you do? Is it? Am I being too greedy? What are you talking about? What do you mean? I mean, I will go find some old man to live with. That was fine. Just like that, Hae-suk left house in heaven. She asked the manager and found out the address of her deceased mother. Then she got on the bus and went back in time to the paradise of the year 1950 where her mother was living. On the way, Hae-suk was very worried that with the image at this rate her mother wouldn't recognize her. Soon she arrived in front of a house. Painting. The yard was swept very clean. The kimchi pots were neatly arranged, dried food and free-range chicks. As Hae-suk watched, a young woman walked out of the house. Mom, our Hae-suk no? Oh my god. Mom, isn't this your Hae-suk? Mom, my daughter Mom is so grown up. Hae-suk. Curious how her mother recognized her with this figure. Unexpectedly, her mother said, there is no such thing as a mother without recognize her daughter. Moreover, she was very happy that her daughter had lived to this age. Mother. She made many delicious dishes for Hae-suk. She noticed that her daughter looked sad and asked, did you have an argument with your husband? Just hearing this, Hae-suk's heart was very comforted. After all, the daughter of another family argued with her husband. Could return to her mother's house, but she could only endure it silently. At night, Hae-suk nestled in mother's heart is like when she was a child. Suddenly she had the idea of wanting to live with her mother and said if I had known this, I wouldn't have chosen a husband in the first place because my mother wouldn't have criticized her. Old. However, hearing this, her mother told her story. Not long after the marriage, her husband brought home a flashily dressed woman. Within a month, the woman became pregnant. However, the child was born under her care. The baby lying on her back neither cried nor fussed, curled up in a circle. Her hand fell asleep. Her mother always liked to rub her face in the baby's hair. As the days passed, one day, her mother suddenly felt sorry for that woman. She had never now to hold such a wonderful little creature. Then her husband and the woman went to the hot springs. The train they were on was full. Both died. Just like that, the father adopted the orphan. During the whole process, did you grow up alone? Was that child you? Mom thought. What's wrong? With a child your age? It's all fate that you came here. With Mom. Even so, Mom still hates me calling her Mom. Her mother told Hae-suk that even don't want to develop feelings, but every time apart she still can't stop missing. But after all, the two were not related by blood. She was afraid that her eldest daughter would hate her, so she had the heart to leave the village. She thought that as time passed, forgot, but always worried if Hae-suk was hungry, if she was doing well at Grandma's house. Only then did she understand that the thing that was stronger and more difficult to separate than blood was fateful meeting. Mom, even though you don't have the right to be called Mom by me, you still thank you so much for coming to see me. Hae-suk? Mom. Early the next morning, Hae-suk saw her husband sat at the door. The moment her mother stepped out, the son-in-law she had never met before. The mother-in-law bowed. Just like that, the couple carried the wedding gift that the mother gave them, boarded the bus back to modern paradise. At the same time, the Punisher found the amnesiac woman at Hae-suk's house. It turns out, the amnesiac woman always dreams. The messenger of hell came to heaven to capture her. Just in time for the husband to bring Hae-suk home. So she tried to act obedient, hoping to be taken in by the couple. But Hae-suk did not immediately express her opinion. That night the woman was so hungry that she had to eat rice and hot water. Hae-suk, who couldn't sleep, happened to see it. Maybe because sympathy or maybe because of her kind nature. Hae-suk took food from the cupboard cold out on the table. She said that this woman must have fallen into this situation. There must be a reason. Two people meeting each other can be considered fate, so I hope you will forgive me. Now don't be afraid anymore. Just stay here until everything is resolved. Early the next morning, the black cat stared at the woman. She immediately recognized it. It must have known me. However, just as the black cat was about to speak, her identity, its attention suddenly attracted by the butterflies on the scene of the two joking around, was accidentally seen by Hae-suk and her husband. This made the husband very confused. It's not that black cats don't like strangers, right? Yes, it just stays at home and only knows me and Juna. It should be noted that Juna is Hae-suk's adopted daughter. In addition, this woman's perspective is different from people in heaven. What others see is a clear blue sky. Her eyes were a different scene. Not only were the clouds thick, but there was also thunder and lightning. So she always carries an umbrella when she goes out. In the afternoon, when the woman picked up Hae-suk on the way home, a badminton ball flew towards her like lightning. She opened her umbrella and used the Hae-suk pose, used to shield dirty water when alive to neutralize the danger. This makes Hae-suk was stunned on the spot, because besides her, only her adopted daughter Juna knew how to do it. So, that night, Hae-suk told her husband about her doubts. She doubted. The amnesiac woman was Juna. However, her husband thought that was impossible. If he met Juna in heaven, it would mean she was dead. Who would do you wish for your loved one to die? So Haesuk immediately dismissed this thought. That night, the woman had another nightmare. She tiptoed into Haesuk's room and crept inside, blanket, and put her hands in her pockets. It was not until the next morning that Haesuk discovered the strange actions of the amnesiac woman. She suddenly remembered that from childhood to growing up, her adopted daughter always slept with her in this position. So she pieced together all the strange things that had happened in the past 2 days and finally came up with a scary thought. She took the woman to a counseling center to ask her daughter if is she in heaven, found her, but her address doesn't seem to be there, should be here. So the girl is dead? Then why isn't the address here? He is in hell. Hearing the staff say that, Haesuk misunderstood that the defector, the woman her husband saved, was the woman in front of him, who was also his beloved daughter, her. From then on, Haesuk took special care of the amnesiac woman. 2 days later, the woman took Haesuk to the church for roll call, buying enough time to make up for lost time, make up for the mistakes he made. Unexpectedly, there was a new parishioner named Che-O-Sin. Haesuk keenly noticed that this person was drenched in sweat. While working, Cheon-shin told about his past. It turned out that Cheon-shin was a street vendor, every day earns a small income to live day by day. Not knowing since when, his wife suffered from dementia in the elderly. Life is not rich, but quite happy, just that his wife always held a pair of earrings in her hand chopsticks. Che carried his wife wherever he went to sell goods. He always thought that his wife was holding chopsticks, because he wanted to eat something. He changed the dishes every day, but sometimes the chopsticks were not put down, yet misfortune struck again. Cheon-shin was diagnosed with terminal bowel cancer. Initially, he was still able to grit his teeth and endured. However, as his illness became more and more serious, the pain was so bad that he couldn't stand up straight. Cheon-shin wanted to send his wife to a nursing home. Old, but the cost of 1 million per month made it difficult for him. So he decided to take his wife to a luxury hotel to fulfill her wish. Cannot say. After a sumptuous meal, he took her to take a memorial photo, just wife. He still did not put down his chopsticks. That night, Cheon asked to sit in the car, drinking water, eyes filled with tears. He hated himself for being incompetent and unable to give his wife a life. Good. Even if you go to hell, don't run around, you must wait, I'll stay here. I don't want to lose you. After saying those words, Incheon asked to speed up, which was also why he was soaked. At the same time, Paradise is hunting for a fugitive. Staff tell 3 dogs that persecuted to death that although the fugitive looked very much like a person in Paradise, but their smell is different. Maybe dogs can smell that. After hearing that, the 3 dog brothers immediately identified the target. Yes, that's it, is the amnesiac woman. But the 3 brothers believe that it is impossible to attack face to face, so decided to persuade Haesuk's husband to adopt them. No. Haesuk's family, we are allergic to dog hair. In fact, the Paradise management has determined that the fugitive's target is not the amnesiac woman hiding in the cabinet that was the poor Cheon-shin. His purpose in coming to heaven was very simple. Just want to know if my wife is living. Well, however, according to the rules, no who is allowed to disclose residence information. Just when both sides are falling into trouble. At a dead end, Haesuk's husband, a postman, ran over with a scarf, red neck on hand. It turned out that before getting sick, Cheon's wife wanted to secretly play a guitar. Scarf to give husband as a surprise. In fact, the gluttony that the husband saw her unfulfilled love. Haesuk's husband not only saved Haesuk, but also secretly told Cheon that only after he endured all the punishment, he was punished in hell before he could meet his wife in heaven. At this point, the fugitive Cheon-shin had let go of the attachment in his heart. In the evening, Haesuk found the person. The amnesiac woman was scared in the closet, and she comforted him. Juna, don't be afraid. No. Unexpectedly, the voice that reached Juna's ears was really on the way to hell. So, what will happen next? We would like to express our sincere thanks, and most deeply to the audience who spent their precious time watching the movie. Your support is a great source of motivation for us to continue. Try and contribute more quality cinematographic works in the future. Hope that the movie has brought you relaxing moments, memorable emotional level. We appreciate all your comments and hope to continue to accompany you in the next movies.